Hello, everyone. This is Kevin Canfield, senior writer with The Frontier, and I'm seated with Tony Moore, the new park director of the Gathering Place, and Jeff Stava, who is overseeing the construction of the park and a lot of other activities for the George Kaiser Family Foundation. Tony, congratulations on your new
Thank you
gig.
so much. Thank you.
I looked at your resume that Jeff sent out, and I see a lot of big names that people recognize. I see SeaWorld, I see Universal Studios, what else? Discovery Cove, just a bunch of big, well, I think of them as amusement parks. Obviously, they're more than amusement parks, but tell us a little about your background and what you did at those places.
Sure. So my introduction to the theme park hospitality business was all by chance, actually. I needed a part-time job while I was in college, and so I started working at SeaWorld.
Right.
And what started out just as a means to buy gas money actually transformed into a career. But it was just the nature of the environment, working with people and being in entertainment. It's a fun industry, so
Right.
what's not to like?
Yeah.
So it started from there and just naturally matured, and I'm certainly fortunate in how it turned out. But so yes, my experience started in Orlando while I was in college, and I quickly got promoted to a lead and within months, and from there it just kind of grew and grew, and I had the opportunity to do a little hopping between attractions from SeaWorld to Universal, back at SeaWorld, do a little marketing, at Discovery Cove, a little stint in the corporate office. I got an opportunity to work at the zoo for a while, so I was just very fortunate how it all came together.
Yeah. Is the Lowry Park Zoo, is that related at all to
No,
any of those pro-
that's in Tampa,
Right.
and it's the number one zoo in the southeast, and in terms of attendance, and so had an opportunity to go there. They were doing some rebuilding and some rebranding. I had an
Right.
opportunity to go there for about a little over 2 years to help them out for a while.
And that was
So-
your last job before you came here?
That's
is that
correct.
right?
That's
So,
correct.
just so people have a sense, what were you doing specifically at the Lowry Park Zoo?
So the zoo it was a product, an entity in a development course. They were rebranding themselves. So my job initially was the entire day-to-day operations, maintenance, marketing, operations, guest services, everything from a guest impact point of view, with the exception of the animal care. That's a special
right.
area. And it actually evolved into I started being the guy, the look-ahead guy. So I started doing the branding and the new projects and the development. So it was an awesome opportunity, and I'm happy to say that the business when I first started and the business when I left, it grew quite a bit in attendance and as well as in quality. So
What is it, how big a zoo is it for us?
it's about 60 acres, and they'll do over 1 million in visitation, 1 million
Really?
guests per year.
Really?
Yeah. So it's yeah.
What is it about the industry that you enjoy that kept you in it from just a part-time job to all these years of doing it?
It's fun. It really is. It's fun.
But isn't it, I'm not to interrupt, but isn't it a lot of work? I mean, you're dealing with people
Oh,
all the
it's a lot
time.
of work. It's a
Yeah.
lot of work, and it's so you have several aspects to it, right? You have the people side of it, and that's what makes it quite engaging. And then you have the consumer, the guest side of it, and that can, depending on the day, you could have the intrigued, the engaged, the not so engaged.
Right.
There's a statement that says tourism in tourism the tourist is not always focused on the normal things because they're on vacation, right?
Right.
So it's just a fun environment, but yes, it's hard work. You're out in the elements, and it's a lot of engagement. It's a lot of walking. It's a lot of sensory. You got to touch, you got to see it, you got to feel it, and so Jeff and I were talking, and one of the philosophy that I learned in this business was MBWA, management by wandering around, or management by walking around. You have to touch the product while you're out there. You don't manage a park or a zoo in an office. So the elements. You're out in the heat, 100 degrees, or it could be out in rain. No snow in Florida,
Yeah.
but things will be a little different here,
Right,
right?
right, yeah.
So. But it's hard work. No question about it. It's hard work. It's long hours. You're working on the holidays, on weekends, when families typically want to take their time to
Right.
get away. You're working, but it's what you do. You provide a service for families, and it's a good thing.
Jeff, this is a big job you've given this man. What was the process for you guys to look for a park director? What qualities were you looking for, and why'd you choose?
It's a good question. We started the process back in November of last year, and we made the hire at the end of June, and Tony started in mid-July. We were looking for someone who had a lot of experience providing a really good quality park experience, who understood operations, understood food service, who could look at a business perspective at the park. Also someone that had created programming, who understood how to manage people, who could be a good leader for the park, as well as being a good spokesman. Because this park is, while it's going to be a beautiful landscaped park, the Kaiser Foundation, we have much higher aspirations for the programming elements of it. And so Tony brings that capability. One of his big projects at Lowry Park was putting together a really big event in mid-July. And Tony just has the ability. He's managed construction, he's managed operations, and he's managed programming. So he's really got the skill set. It's a real big toolbox with a lot of varied skills that I think will provide the kind of experience we want for Tulsa.
Yeah. When did you first hear about the gathering place?
So I actually got a call from a headhunter that says, hey, would you be interested in looking at a new product that's being done in Oklahoma? And, being the big Florida market with big brands, like, Oklahoma, And she says, it's in Tulsa. Have you been there before? I said, no, I've never been there.
Yeah.
And so, it's not your traditional destination yet.
Right.
But so after receiving the call, going online, and I got to say the description online and the construction that Jeff and team did would explain the product quite well.
Right.
And understanding the commitment on behalf of the city. And this was something big. This was something important for the city. And this was something different. I've seen a lot of attractions in my time, and I've never seen a public park with so much diverse content, and so I was really intrigued from day one.
Yeah. So when's the first time you got out here, got to see what you were getting into?
So I looked online for quite a while, and we had a series of conversations leading in a screening process and all that. And to be quite frank, even then I was, there was a lot going on in Florida, and for me to leave Florida, it has to be something quite compelling.
Right.
But it wasn't until I came. And so when I came and I understood the scope a lot better, and I was even more intrigued at that point. But I got to tell you, and Jeff had heard me say this several times, it's understanding the mission behind it, the foundation, and not to be disrespectful for the for-profit side of the business, but it's a different mindset completely.
Right.
And understanding the missions and what the George Kaiser Family Foundation does and has been doing and wants to do, that I was not expecting that at all.
Yeah.
But I found that quite purposeful.
Yeah.
And then understanding what's happening in the city of Tulsa on a whole, and the growth that's being done, and the renovations and the development, and I could clearly see something great in the making. And so after being here and seeing for myself, I think at that point I was like, this is a very cool opportunity, and I'd definitely love to be a part of this.
Yeah. What do you see as the park's role in the city's future? I mean, how do you, when you're going to go out and sell the park and explain to people, what are you going to tell them?
Certainly. The commodity that's limited is time, and we're just so pressed to find time. And so time is of a great value to families and to individuals. And so I see this as an opportunity, a place of escape, a place of engagement, a place of education, a place of learning, a place of fun that the city now has. And I spoke about the diversity of the content, that it caters to so many different demographics and families and ages, from teenagers to toddlers to seniors. It's naturesque, it's urban, it's hip, it's cool, it's all of those things. So I see the function as being as an ultimate getaway for the city, where individuals, where families, where Tulsans can go and really relax and enjoy and be engaged and get an escape from their everyday life and enjoy nature. And there's just so much components to it, and it will be different things to different people, but without a doubt, this is a community, a democratic space, a fun space for the city, and I see everything. I see the city really embracing this in a huge way. So this is so cool.
Yeah. Jeff, one of his other roles would be to handle what's going on at Guthrie Green. Is that right? Mm-hmm. Remind people who are the two people watching that don't know what Guthrie Green is. That's downtown in the Brady District,
So
right?
yeah, so roughly 4 years ago, we opened Guthrie Green. It's just in the middle of the Brady District, just on the north edge of downtown, within the interdispersal loop, and it's kind of nestled kind of between the BOK Center and the One Oak Stadium, and it's a park, a gathering park. It's accentuating on the entertainment and music that the Brady District was actually built on, with Old Lady on Brady and the Canes. And it's an actively programmed park that has fitness activities. It has musicians and bands and big holiday festivals, and so market fairs and craft fairs and such. So it has a lot of different types of programming that caters to different types of people for downtown. It's been incredibly successful. But the Kaiser Foundation, built that park, and we program it each year. We have a team of about 7 or 8 people that actively are programming and managing the park. But that park and the Gathering Place are basically the 2 parks that the Kaiser Foundation has built, and so Tony will kind of oversee kind of our park development, our park programming, and over everything, including operations and security and maintenance, and then promoting and making sure people know what's being offered in the park, and working hard to create outreach in all corners of our city to encourage people to be together. That's really what the name Gathering Place is pretty purposeful. We want these parks to be places for all Tulsans, and so that's the big objective. And Tony will be the one with he's a lot of operating experience and a lot of programming experience, and he'll be the one to kind of help us get this to where we want it to be.
Yeah. You were born in Jamaica?
Born in Jamaica.
So how'd you get to Florida? And tell us about your family. I know you have a couple children and a wife. So tell us a little about yourself personally.
So born in Jamaica, went to high school in Jamaica, played soccer in Jamaica. My dad lived here in the States, in Orlando, and so I came here for college, basically.
Okay.
And never went back. Well, I go back quite often for vacation, but made this my home, and then certainly after being in the industry, I realized Florida was the place to be at the time. So. And
tell us, you have 2 young children, right?
2. I have a 5 turning 6 in another month, this month actually, and I have a 2-year-old. So my first, her name is Kai Moore, and a handful. We're just talking a very strong-willed individual, but very energized and excited to be here in Tulsa. She had a chance to see parts of the site yesterday, and she was just so excited.
Yeah.
And a 2-year-old named Casilo, and he's my one and only son, and he's can't speak too much, but certainly he was on your swing set, and he was having a blast. The swing set down at on the riverside. So
was it a hard sell to get the family to move up here, or is it?
So initially, when I first told my wife there was an interest in Oklahoma, it's not the typical place you think of from an attraction point of view. But then it didn't take her long to start Googling Tulsa and look at the awesome things that Tulsa had. And like me, once she got here and saw for herself, she was in love. She absolutely was. So it wasn't very hard.
Now, are you still playing soccer? Because they got a lot of leagues around here.
I'm hearing about that, and I think I still have one last run left in me. So I'm gonna get out there and try something. So I'll be looking for a soccer team to kick around with.
Good. Let me just get back to the park when we finish up here. How many people will work at the park? I mean, you may not have all this down exactly, but what type of enterprise are we talking about to keep that place operating, and how busy a man you're going to be, and how many people you're going to have to help you? Do you expect?
Well, I'm going to be very busy. Opening a new park of this size, ultimately 100 acres, first part, 6 to 6.5. It's a huge undertaking. There's one thing to build it. There's the other thing to make sure that it operates well. The other aspect to make sure that the consumer integration, the guest interface goes well. Jeff and I are having a lot of conversations theoretically in how it's built and how the consumer engages stages that it goes to plan. There's a lot of moving parts to this. So yeah, it's a huge undertaking. Typically in the industry, this is the time they say no vacation until park opens. So yeah, but it's an exciting project. It's such an exciting project. As far as the staff, we're in the process of figuring that out. There's a lot of different employment models to look at. The thing about running parks, you have to be hands-on. It's a consumer-facing, so it's labor intensive.
Right.
From the culinary to the physical upkeep to the maintenance. To the leadership team, it'll be an opportunity to employ folks from Tulsa, and then we're looking for intrigued, engaged individuals to be a part of this. And so we're in that process right now and figuring out ultimately what the labor model will look like. But from a ballpark point of view, it's certainly there's a difference between peak and non-peak attendance, and we certainly won't be keeping all the folks on. So there'll be opportunities for full-time, part-time, and seasonal as well. And so we're figuring that out right now.
Okay. So how's the construction process going, Jeff?
It's going real well. I mean, we've had a really good run. Everything's coming up and out of the ground. The lodge has got the steel work. You can actually start to see kind of the box of the second story now. So a lot of the dirt excavation, all of the landscape geotech material is in the lower part of the pond, and they're coming up and out of the pond. But the whole pond now is dug out on the base. The land bridges are being waterproofed. So it's amazing just every week the amount of progress. It's for the greater part of a year and a half, it's all been at grade or below grade, and now it's really all starting to come up out of the ground. So it's an exciting time.
Are you still shooting for the end of next year? Or?
End of December 2017.
Okay.
We hope to have
We
construction
keep asking you
complete.
that. Just why not, right? Why not put you on the spot? Last question. Is there any element of this park, we have a model behind us here, that really just excites you, or one or two, or is there any particular piece of it?
It's the combination thereof, where you have natural green space, you have athletic undertakings from skateboarding, BMX, to soccer. And the part that really intrigued me probably a little bit more is all the contents that gathered from structures to climb on, to splash areas, to mist mountains. It's just the diversity of content, and in every aspect, this is such a well-planned product that you could slap a couple turnstiles on and charge admissions, and it could work fine. But just to think, it's a free park for Tulsa.
Well, that was one thing I've been thinking about when I looked at your history. Is this like anything you've done before? Because I think more of SeaWorld or Disney World or any of those as being more concrete, recreational areas. You walk to one attraction to the other. Here you're in a park, so this is a little different, is it not?
It is. The theme parks and attractions now are trying to softscape what they do, and so there are parks such as Discovery Cove that's like a tropical paradise. It's not hardscape and concrete, and so there's a lot more integration in that to make that escape, that getaway.
Right.
And so, but this is very authentic because it's a natural space that's converted. It's not created totally, and plus the river. To be adjacent to a river is just an awesome feature to it. So, by basic definition, it's quite similar from a management point of view of managing attractions, but this is not a theme park. It's a public park. It's a community park. It's not a paid experience. So there's differences.
But you're essentially facing
but
the same
essentially
challenges and
the core of
responsibilities.
managing guests, interfacing, and again, at the end of the day, you have consumers that have to walk away and say, wow, this was an awesome experience.
Yeah.
We want this to be a repeatable experience.
Right.
And that's very important that we deliver in that regard.
Okay. Thanks for your time.
Thank you so much.